This changes everything for the Mets. We got news, a series preview with Shohei Ohtani and these guys, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and plenty more headed your way, so stay tuned. We're going to start this off right now with some news. Paul Blackburn is back. He's on the Major League roster, and he is actually going to be pitching as part of the rotation. But the question here is, how can he do so? We'll dive into that and plenty more on today's episode of Mets Digest. Welcome back. I'm your host today, Mike Duda, and as always, I like to start off with some statistics. And today's stat is that 73.6% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So please do me a favor, do us a favor here at Mets Digest, and hit that free subscribe button. That way we can bring content to you about the amazing. So, I mentioned that Blackburn is back. He's on the roster, and in fact, he's going to be pitching tonight against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The question is how? Well, David Stearns and the New York Mets have elected for a six-man rotation, at least for the time being. So let's go ahead and take a look at Paul Blackburn throughout his career and with the Mets thus far. This is Paul Blackburn's baseball reference. You know, it's my favorite friend. 162 game average, meaning that Blackburn would be healthy for 162 games. These are what his stats would look like. A 9-11 record, 4.85 ERA in 173 innings pitched, 133 strikeouts, 141 whip, and a 1.3 WAR. Not very good career statistics, but not the absolute worst. However, his stats with the Mets are indeed worse. In one season with New York, he went 1-2 with a 5.18 ERA in just 24 1/3 innings pitched, 7.8 strikeouts per nine, a bad 156 whip, and negative 0.3 WAR. The main problem with Blackburn is that he just doesn't get on the mound enough. The most starts he's ever made in a season, as you can see on your screen now, is 21, and the most innings he's ever pitched in a season, 111 1/3. So he's really never on the mound, and when he is, he's not that solid. A 3.22 ERA as his best season. Outside of that rookie year in 2017, his ERA has been 4.28 or higher every single season. So I mentioned that the Mets are going to be going with a six-man rotation. Let's hear from President of Baseball Operations David Stearns on what he thinks about this decision. He said, quote, "I don't think we're going to commit to exclusively a six-man rotation the rest of the way. I think we'll do what makes sense within the constructs of our schedule. We'll do it when we have these stretches of 15, 16, 18 games in a row that pop up throughout the course of a season. But I would imagine, as we have done so far this year, we're going to continue to swing back and forth for a little between 6 and 5, depending on what our schedule looks like, how our guys are feeling. Do they need extra rest? Do they not need the extra rest? It's an ongoing conversation. We're probably going to take it turn by turn." Now, I normally don't have a problem with the six-man rotation, but with this specific team and how dominant the pitching rotation has been, I don't necessarily agree with what David Stearns is putting out right now, especially because the stretch that the Mets are in is not one of these 15, 16, 18 game stretches. The Mets are only in a 10-game stretch right now. That's a week and a half of consistent baseball, and that's only 2 starts that each starting pitcher would have to make. And because they're going with a six-man rotation, that's one less start in that 10-day stretch that Kodai Senga is able to make. Right now, according to ESPN Cy Young Predictor, Senga is first. He is projected right now to win the National League Cy Young with a whopping 6-3 record, 1.60 ERA that is National League leading in 62 innings pitched, 59 strikeouts, and an 0.4 home runs per 9 that also leads the NL. I understand a little bit more when you have a guy healthy like Sean Manaea, maybe even Frankie Montas, because of how big that contract is. But right now, you're putting an extra spot in for a guy who we saw his stats. They're not that great. You get a guy in Blackburn who gets the job done, but not at the extent of a Sean Manaea or even a Frankie Montas. So I completely disagree with the move right now to go with a six-man rotation. I think we should wait until Manaea or Montas is healthy, and Stearns has an update on that front as well. Sean Manaea went down with a right oblique strain. As for Montas, a right lat strain. And this is what the president of baseball operations had to say on that front. He said, quote, "I think both are progressing well. Obviously, Frankie is out on his rehab assignment. We still have a ways to go to get his volume up and build up, but that middle segment of June, I think, is still realistic." I think Sean's behind that in terms of how that fits into our team and rotation. We'll tackle that when we get there. So that's not very good news on Manaea's front. However, some promising news with him is that he is up to throwing live batting practice at this moment. So hopefully Manaea is healthy by the All-Star break. As for Montas, Stearns alluded to it. He began a rehab assignment a week and a half ago with the High A affiliate Brooklyn Cyclones. So that's all the news that we had to go over. As for now, let's take a look at the road ahead for the Mets and just how good they are and what kind of spot that they're in right now. Well, it's best in the National League East and second best in the NL. They're back to first place above the red-hot Philadelphia Phillies. A season-best 15 games above 500 right now at a 37-22 record. They are tied for the best record of the National League with the Chicago Cubs and tied for the second best record in all of baseball behind the Tigers and, of course, tied with the Cubs. So the Mets are in a really good spot right now, but as you saw in the intro video in the first couple of seconds of the video, we got ourselves a series up ahead. Next up, the massive series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, arguably the biggest series all season. Now, this Dodgers team, as you might know from the National League Divisional Series last year and just baseball in general, they are star-studded. 3 National League leaders. Batting average, you got Freddie Freeman with a 365 clip. That is incredible. That is first in the league. And Will Smith is right behind him in second at a 333 clip. You also have Shohei Ohtani in the mix, 22 home runs. That is good for first in the National League. And he is the only player with 20-plus home runs in the NL thus far. The Dodgers also have guys like Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman. As of now, we won't have to deal with Mookie Betts. He is currently on the day-to-day injured list, but that might change, and the Mets might eventually have to face him in this series. On the pitching side of things, the Mets luck out a lot because the Dodgers are pretty injured on their pitching front. We won't have to face Tyler Glasnow, who's hurt. Neither will we have to face Blake Snell, Blake Trinan, or Kirby Yates. All of those guys are injured, and we also avoid Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who just pitched last night against the Yankees and is also a league leader in the National League. And as we speak of pitching, let's go into the pitching matchups for each of these 4 games. Game 1 is tonight, Monday at 10:10 p.m. It's Paul Blackburn, as I said, making his first start. He goes up against Dustin May, who is 3-4 this year with a 4.20 ERA, 9.4 strikeouts per 9. As for Game 2, that'll be Tuesday night at 10:10. Tylor Megill goes back at it with a 4-4 record, 3.52 ERA, and a great 12.1 strikeouts per 9. He faces the legendary Clayton Kershaw, who has made 3 starts this year, is 0-0 with a 4.91 ERA. Now, he did pitch against the Mets and was not credited with the win, but that was the game that the Dodgers got a 7-5 victory over the Mets in extra innings. As for the last 2 games of the series, both starting pitchers did not win their games against the Mets about a week and a half ago when the Mets and Dodgers played back at Citi Field. Game 3 is Wednesday at 10:10 p.m. on MLB Network. It'll be Griffin Canning, who's 5-2 with a 3.23 ERA and 8.5 strikeouts per 9, and has also struggled in his last 2 starts, so he will look to bounce back and go back to his career season with a good outing against the Dodgers. He faces Tony Gonsolin with his 3-1 record, 5.23 ERA, and 9.3 strikeouts per 9. Last game of the series will be Thursday at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Landon Knack, who is 3-2 on the season with a 4.59 ERA, 8.7 strikeouts per 9, and he goes up against David Peterson, who has been so reliable in 2024 and 2025. A 4-2 record, 2.69 ERA, and 8.3 strikeouts per 9. So plenty that we were able to go over today. A lot of news in terms of the Mets. 6-man rotation. We'll see how that plays out. Paul Blackburn pitches tonight in a vital series against the Dodgers. I'm serious when I say I think this is the most important series of the season because the Mets took 2 out of 3 back at Citi Field. If you count that as a 7-game series, the Mets are right now up 2-1, so we'll see if they can claim the last 2 games in LA. The teams play a total of 7 times against one another. I mean, 3 out of 4 would just be amazing as the Mets start their road trip now. But I will take a series split. The Mets head to LA to face the Dodgers with their best record of the season on the line. It's time for the Mets to hit. It's time for the Mets to throw well and beat the Dodgers. But unfortunately, that's all the time I have for you today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and let's go Mets.